Hey everyone, so it's been a while since I posted a video and an update. As you last know, was my car had some major issues. It needed an axle replaced and it needed like other work too. And so 2 weeks ago, I went to get gas, everything was fine, and I was about to make a turn to head to work. And as I was about to go right, my car stalls out. And I could not get it started and I was stuck. And meanwhile, cars are lining up behind me waiting to go. And I'm like trying to tell them, to go around me. And some of the flaggers were telling them, you're going to have to go around. His car broke down. So people did that. And these guys graciously helped me to push my car into a parking space. And so while I'm there trying to get the car started, I'm seeking God, finding out what to do. Because, when you're in a tough situation like that, in your mind, everything is connected. Your job is connected. How you're going to eat is connected. You're thinking, oh man, how am I going to get to work? How am I going to get to all these places? And so while I was trying to get the car started, I heard from God, and he says, watch how this situation will unfold. And meanwhile, um I had to get to work, so I let my boss know. And he had a coworker come pick me up, which was very nice of him. And God worked the whole situation out to where I had my car towed to where I worked. And they ended up checking my car out, and they said that it needed a new engine. And previously I was praying that it was something small. It wasn't something small. Needed a new engine, and it would have costed $4,800, and there was no way I was about to do that. I had just put a transmission into it. And so I just knew from that there's no way that I was going to be able to use that vehicle again. And here I'm going back and forth to work using Uber and Lyft. And my boss graciously picked me up in the morning, which was amazing of him. And I'm seeking God for the entire time. He's encouraging me. He said to walk into work with full faith, knowing that he will take care of the entire situation. So I'm keeping my ears open to everything that I'm hearing, everything that I'm seeing, using it as clues of what God's going to do. And so, I happened to get Chinese food one evening, and I look at the fortune cookie and the message that was in it. And I had a lot of different encouraging messages. And it's not like I'm using fortune cookies as a way of, being guided, but I believe God can use them. And so one of the messages said, a surprise will be waiting for you, or something like that. And I'll do another video and I'll show the fortune cookie message. So, like Mary did, she kept all the things that were said to her and what was done into her heart, and she treasured them. And that's what I did with this. And so I'm going to work in the mornings and, trying to have faith that God's going to work everything out, that he has my back. Remembering everything that he's done in the past, how he provided for an apartment, how he provided for my other car to get fixed. And, how he provided food and, stepping stones for me once my mother had passed, moving on to different places. And, I'm seeking God the entire time. And I'm listening to what he's saying, that, he's going to provide good things, that he's going to work all things out. And let me see if I can find the message. One second. Okay, so when I was seeking God, I was typing down everything I was hearing. And, when we're afraid of what's going to happen and we don't know, like, the situation that I've been in, we tend to think the worst. And so I was listening to God, and I was typing what I was hearing. And he said, I know your situation. Look in your past, how I took the impossible situations in your life and made them possible. You had no apartment. I provided for one. Your car broke down. I provided for its repairs. You had nowhere to go. I provided a place for you. I provided stepping stones for you. This situation is no different. Look to me with the eyes of faith. Don't be anxious. Watch how I will unfold this circumstance. I will work on your behalf. Look at how I have given you favor in your job. And, where you were part-time, I have made it full-time. You will now have benefits. I will provide all good things for you. And then another day, he wrote, man in fear thinks the worst possible scenario, and their thoughts are without me in mind. Man worries about what he can do in his own strength. Rely on me and put your full faith in me, knowing I have control over your circumstance. Walk in this with full faith that your vehicle is mine, and I will take care of what's mine. I will provide every step of the way. I provide good things for my children. Don't look at the situation with fear, but with faith. And another message he gave me. When you go to work, remember everything I have done for you in the past. I will work it all out for you so you can give your testimony for others to hear what I can do. You're giving people the grounds to trust me. They see your weakness, but they also see your faith. You know that how I've come through for you. You have quite a testimony of what I have done, and you have given me glory in your testimonies. I will do many more amazing things in your life to show people what I can do. Remember to always think that the car is mine. I know that what will happen even when you don't, but look to me who knows what will happen, and let me guide you through this process. As I have said, you are a part of a corporation in which all expenses are paid. When a company vehicle needs repairs, is the corporation worried? So, what God had said a while ago is like, we are in the corporation of God. Whatever we need, we shouldn't have to worry because God will take care of us. And he was giving like the analogy that, it's like a corporation, a company. Well, if a car needs repairs, the company's going to pay for that. If somebody is sent on a business trip, all expenses are paid. So in the same way with God, whatever we need, he'll take care of us. When a company vehicle needs repairs, is the corporation worried? No, because they have the means and the workers to take care of the problems. The same goes with you. Walk into work with full faith, knowing I will take care of everything. I will work the situation out according to my will, so that you can continue to encourage your hearers, and you will have this testimony to list and tell people. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to let you know exactly what was going on. So, and every morning I continue to take an Uber. I attempted to take a bus one time. And I got out of work, and I'm rushing to the bus stop. I get onto the bus, and it's not like it's a big deal taking a bus, but in this case, I'm done with work and I'm very tired. And, the last thing I want to deal with is getting on a bunch of buses just to get home. So I went to take a bus, and the bus driver gets to a certain point, and he's taking a break, which, that's understandable. And then he's telling me, if you go up in that bus up there, get onto it and then go on to another bus when you get to the bus station. And so I did that. So by the time I got to where I needed to go at the other mall, it was like 6:44 p.m. and it was getting dark. And I didn't have enough time to walk from one side of a street to another. And they were giving me like 4 minutes in order to catch the other bus. But then once I would have got dropped off at the end of my street, I would have had to walk close to a mile just to get home. And that would have been after 7. And I still needed to work on the book I'm writing and stuff like that. So I ended up taking a Lyft, which was like $13 just to get home. And I'm praying to God. I said, Lord, please work everything out. Please work this situation out. Make the impossible possible. Lord, you know that I don't have enough money, to eat and to take these Ubers. And so here I'm looking around at rental cars, and I spoke with this one, garage that has rental cars, but they would have charged over $600 just to rent a vehicle, and it would, that was for a month, but they have the option of renting a vehicle per week, which would have been $200 with a $300 security deposit. And I'm like, man, that's expensive. And so here I'm waiting for them to call, and to this day they still haven't called. So I got finished with work yesterday, and one of my coworkers says, "Did this person come and talk with you?" I said, "No." So he brings me over to them. They are a salesperson, and they're telling me, about my options, and they were looking into it for me, and they asked how much I can pay per month, and I let them know how much I made per hour and stuff like that. So to make a long story short, they're telling me that you can lease a vehicle out with the option to buy. And they would have taken a little bit over $400 just to put down. And they said, you can walk out of here tonight with a new vehicle. And as you can see behind me, this is my new vehicle. And it's a major blessing. And I don't have the outside of it to show you, but it's a 2025 Honda Accord. And here before, I'm like telling God, I'll just be happy with a used vehicle. I don't care as long as it gets me to and from work. And I can hear God's heart while I'm there. When the salesperson was getting up, going and, working things out on my behalf, they're saying, God's telling me, he said, didn't I tell you that I will provide for you and I will give you more than what you're anticipating? I have good things in store for you. And he said, this is just the beginning. And I recall my dear friend Ian, I was telling him about my situation. He said, man, you need a breakthrough. You've been going through so much garbage this past 2 years. You need a break. You need a new car. And he said something you could be proud of. And he was like encouraging me. And God heard his heart. And God worked that out for me. And so I can't tell you how excited I was just to get into this car. And, I just praise God, and he said something like, this is just the beginning. And I had the feeling that it was regarding my books, but that my books will soon be out. And so I recall another word that I got, like a year ago, directly after my mother passed. They said that you're coming into a new season and God's going to restore everything that the enemy has taken from you. And I also remembered years ago when I got another prophetic word, and they said, in the days to come, you will be part of the more miraculous. More miraculous are happening in the days ahead with you. And so this is what this is. This is the miraculous. And just, I'm amazed of how God has worked the entire situation out to where I literally had nothing, to where he is getting my feet onto solid ground, and I just praise him. So I pray that this testimony encourages you that, God will take care of us every step of the way. And, God understands the fear that we face and things like that, but he's by our sides and he's here to encourage and build us up. So I pray this video has blessed you. Thank you for taking the time to watch.